Welcome to the Northwest. Josh Ringo here to give you the podcast episode for March 2nd, 2021. In this episode, is part one of keep or cut with the Portland Trail Blazers team, as I'll go over 6 players, and then I'll talk about the other 16 of the NFL quarterbacks. Make sure to click that subscribe button on the podcast and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Northwest Sports Report with some more content there. So we will begin with Carmelo Anthony, forward for the Blazers, and sometimes one of the starters. He's played in this league for over 17 years. Now, he scored about 14 points per game, and I think we should, my pick is for him to keep. But I feel like even though he did especially well in the bubble, he hasn't done so well during this season, though it might have been affected with grabbing Robert Covington and Derrick Jones Jr. So if we could trade him for a high price, we should, because I think we might have the players and we might get some other star talent that might be able to help us. But I think he's fine to stay on this team. Just the reason why I choose keep or cut, not trade, is because NBA trades are rare. Not as rare as NFL teams, but rare enough that I don't think most teams might not usually get a trade. Maybe like one trade per season or something. But I think Anthony should stay on this team. Though I think he should be traded a little bit, as his shooting hasn't been that good, and he's only had 3.4 rebounds, which is fine for a forward, and 1.3 assists. So not as good as passing, though, because he usually is the one who shoots the ball himself when he was back in New York. Next, number 23, Robert Covington, one of the new players we received from Houston in a trade earlier this year. And I think, so he has only he hasn't been that good, as we got him for 2 first-rounders, a 7.7 point per game, but is good on the rebounding end with 6.5 rebounds per game and 1.7 assists per game, has played 7 years as a pro. I think Covington is just one of those middle guys. I thought by the price he paid and by news reporters that he could get someone good, really good that could help the team. But Covington hasn't been one of those guys that really impacted the team. And if I didn't have to pay the price of 2 first-rounders, I would choose to cut Covington heading into the All-Star break. I think it's because his shooting isn't that well, and I feel like we got him overpriced with the price we had to pay. So if they could, I would have cut him, but the price was just too much that we would have to keep them. but personally, I would cut. So next up, number 33, Zach Collins, 7 points per game, 6.3 rebounds a game, and 1.5 assists per game. Pretty even with Covington and Anthony. He's only 3 years as a pro, but I feel like he's starting to get better. He plays as a forward center, but he gets more rebounds though. So I think Zach Collins hasn't been playing much, so I haven't seen a lot of him. But I think we should this is tough thinking about who we have, but now that I think about it, I would choose to cut him. Only because shooting is, not that good, and he just doesn't have the time. Plus, half his job as a forward center is to be the center, but we already have 2 great centers in Cantor and Yusuf Nurkic, but Nurkic is injured. So Collins might be, but there's also another forward center in Harry Giles, but I won't talk about him today or Friday due to him he's more of a backup. Only playing 3.1 points per game, 0.9 assists per game, and 5 rebounds. I don't really see him in the game, which is why I'm not going to talk about most of the backups. Zach Collins, I feel like probably cut because, I think it's cut because he's just not good, and the position is really, I don't think we'll be able to fit him as we already have enough centers already. 3 down, 3 to go. Next up, Rodney Hood, a forward guard, 5 points per game, 1.6 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 6th year as a pro. So Rodney Hood, I feel like he's like a starter, but he's more of a backup based on his point totals, like being more good. I haven't seen him that much of a shooting, but he knows how to drive to the basket and get those layups and such, which is why I'm going to choose to keep him, as he might be a valuable asset in future years. Next up, number 55. Oh, also because of the height, he is 6'8", just pretty tall. He's the 3rd tallest guy, and the tallest guy that is not a center. Next up, number 55, Derrick Jones Jr., one of the other players we have received in the trade, and he's been better than Covington, even though we paid more for Covington. 8.1 points per game, 5 rebounds, 0.8 assists in only his 4th year playing. He's one of those young guys that we can utilize more. His shooting sometimes, I feel like when watching, is better than Covington, but I feel like he's made more inside shots rather than those long bombs, because when he shoots threes, he keeps on missing them. But I think he's fine, as we already have enough 3-point shooters already. Finally, for today, number 11, Enes Kanter, center, who we got back after a trade with the Boston Celtics. We traded him there, and now we got him back. He's been really good, 12 points per game, 11.6 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, 1.2 assists, but his 9th year as a pro. Still has some amount of years left, but when I watch the game, he sometimes misses a lot of rebounds, though some of them aren't his fault. I just feel like he isn't good on his hands right now, but is always at least near where the ball is, so that's fine right now, and I choose to keep him. So 2 cuts, but the bad news is, who do we pick up? That'll be it for this Blazers section. After the break, it's talking about 16 more QBs. And now let's get back into our trade potential QBs. I recapped 16 of them in the mega episode last Friday. Ended with Cam Newton, and we'll start with number 17 or 17th ranked Baker Mayfield. And same as always, give a trade rank potential out of 1 through 5. Mostly can go to the negative zone and the positive zone if necessary. So, Baker Mayfield, I feel, is probably going to be a 2. Because I feel like they could potentially trade him. He's not exactly safe, but they were able to win the playoff game. And their first playoff game in a long time. And I think the Browns were proud that they were able to finally come awake after that just giant slumber of losses. Baker Mayfield, yeah, I don't think he has any real heat with the team. So, no trade here probably. They might be able to upgrade though. Maybe if they put in Beckham Jr., which I'm thinking they actually might trade, as they've actually done better without Beckham than with, to upgrade to maybe Wilson or Watson. We did ask for a Wilson Mayfield trade deal, so we'll see. Next, Jared Goff, and that is going to be a 1 after he's already in Detroit. They're already in a rebuilding mode, so they don't want to upgrade. They more likely would downgrade, but the only other quarterback they can downgrade to is Cam Newton, which they can just pick up for free. They're rebuilding, so no trade probably. No trade for the Lions. Next, Teddy Bridgewater with the Panthers, and that is going to be a 5 with... I'm wavering between a 4 and a 5, though, because even though reports are talking about how Teddy Bridgewater is in the mix, he's not in actually, trade conversation. I don't think any teams want him unless he gets cut. So, I think Bridgewater is probably going to get traded, possibly. Maybe by the Patriots, though. Newton coming back to Carolina? I don't know about that. Next up, Phillip Rivers. Oh, wait, no. Phillip Rivers retired. Moving on, Drew Brees. He may retire, and if he does play, he's probably going to stay with the Saints. Easy 1. Stayed with his team basically almost his whole career. Won championships. Has a really good squad. Basically had the NFL's best record for the past 3 years. Where would we go? He hasn't even said a word about training somewhere else. Next up, Carson Wentz with the Colts, and that's going to be a 1. Colts got him for cheap. Already got traded. Usually there isn't a quarterback that is traded twice in a single offseason. Plus, I don't think, other than Indy, there isn't really any other team that wants Wentz after a horrible kind of season in Philly. Next, Drew Lock, and that's going to be a 5. Yes, going for the big guns here. Actually, more like a 4, though. It's going to be a 4. Drew Lock, he hasn't done that well in Denver as the successor to Peyton Manning. He hasn't lived up to what he was worth, and literally even the wide receiver who completed one pass did better than him. Okay, that was a joke. But he probably is. I don't think, though he may get traded, I don't think there's any team that really wants him, though. Just because he's so bad, I think there's a better chance that he gets cut, though, than get traded. But Broncos are on a market, so they might just throw in Locke to maybe the Bears or something. We'll see. Next, Daniel Jones with the Giants, and that's going to be a 3. There is some heat between the Giants as the Giants need to upgrade, but Jones was a little bit decent. They were decent. They were hot for a little bit, but then but Jones they got worse, and then they missed the playoffs. So there is a chance they might trade. They're just not in that first big group of quarterbacks that would like to trade their quarterback. Number 20, or next, Joe Burrow of the Bengals. That's a 0. They're not going to trade him. He's already on his rookie contract. They want to keep him as they spent their number 1 overall pick on him. It would need like 5 first rounders or something. Or like a Russell Wilson and maybe 3 first rounders, because we don't know what potential he has because he only played 10 games. So we don't know if he could be like the best quarterback in the whole world, better than Brady. We'll see. I mean, he won a bunch of championships he won a championship in LSU. But there's no way the Bengals are going to injure him, and even though he might get really good, he might get really bad. We don't know as he broke his ACL. Next, Gardner Minshew, and that's going to be a 3. They're not going to trade him. They're probably going to cut him. He's one of those quarterbacks who would probably be cut rather than traded. Jaguars probably going to pick up Trevor Lawrence, and that means Minshew is gone. That's all I need to say. Next, Mitchell Trubisky to the Bears, and that's going to be a 4. Trubisky, he's in a battle with Nick Foles, and the Bears might want to trade him somewhere, maybe putting both in a package up to upgrade to a better quarterback. But I feel like Mitch is probably going to win the QB battle, though, if no one trades for them. But since they have 2 quarterbacks, I think they would probably try to get some value and trade one of them. And I feel like they're both almost equal skill, so they might trade Mitch as he might go for higher in the market. Next, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that's going to be a 4. Fitzpatrick they have Tua Tagovailoa in their possession, and they're actually might thinking about getting Deshaun Watson. Either of those would probably mean Fitzpatrick is gone and will probably go somewhere else, hopefully as a starter. He has been even though they have tanked, he was really good at the end of the season and during this past season with the Dolphins. But he's probably going to get traded as he's getting old, and sadly, it's time to go then. Rip Patrick. Next, Taysom Hill, and that's going to be a 1. They're probably not going to trade as he has been good, and the Saints like him to be the successor to Drew Brees. He did decent with the Saints, and both of them are in the top 32 of fantasy quarterbacks. But I talked about it more on a previous episode that you can check out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. Yes, I'm somewhere. But he's not gonna go anywhere, as I've heard. Next, Sam Darnold. That's gonna be a 5. Jets looking to trade the quarterback, maybe getting Deshaun Watson. They just think that Sam Darnold isn't the quarterback they're looking for, but there is some let's see, what's it called? Rumor that that the team actually likes him and might stay on the team, though they should just at least get some value on him by trading him. Next, Andy Dalton. That's probably going to be a 0. I think it's fine. He's a backup, though, but no teams, I don't think, are interested anymore in Andy Dalton. And then finally, Tua Tagovailoa. That's going to be a 4. They might trade to Wilson or to get Wilson or Watson, thinking that might be that last piece of the puzzle to get what they need to a championship and over the hump against the Bills. So that'll be it for the QBs. And now let's get into the best number 8. And now let's get into the best number 8. 3 players were named backups, and then the best number 8. First off is Troy Aikman with the Cowboys, Hall of Fame inductee, 6-time Pro Bowl, and was Super Bowl MVP for the Dallas Cowboys, and is now a famous announcer, which is he was active from 1989 to 2000 and through 165 touchdowns with over 33,000 passing yards. He's been awesome. He was known as a really good quarterback during that 90s range and is a great announcer today. That is why Aikman is third place to the best number 8. Now, this wouldn't be the best number if we didn't include a Yankee. And this Yankee number 8 is Yogi Berra, known for his weird Yogi-isms, but is in the Hall of Fame, won All-Star selection 18 times out of 19 years. So he only missed All-Star once, and is a 3-time American League MVP. He hit 358 home runs and 1,400 RBIs, which is why so good and so dominant, but he isn't the best number 8. You should know, best number 8, even though he only wore it for a portion of his career, is Kobe Bryant. He won 3 NBA championships and won MVP in just his number 8 career alone. Yeah. He in total has put up 33,000 points for the Lakers. That is why Kobe Bryant is the best number 8. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button on my YouTube page. And you can also hit that subscribe button on the podcast so you guys will know when I release that. I'm Joshua Ngo, and this has been the Northwest Sports Report. YouTube people, I'll see you tomorrow.